Hello, friends. Happy New Year. Happy New Year's Eve, I should say. I'm sitting here. I decided to have this little nice backdrop of flowers that my husband gave me yesterday for my birthday because they look so beautiful. So I wanted to share a video with some of you here to just talk about, my thoughts, my feelings, what I've been experiencing in this end of 2020 and thoughts on moving forward into 2021. Obviously, 2020 has been pretty nuts. And let's see, I had a birthday yesterday, turned 43, December 30th. And it was interesting because I'm going to talk about a few things. I'll talk about my personal experience and what I've been noticing, and then hopefully that will be helpful for you in some way. So I went to get a massage, and then we went out to dinner, and then we went to this drive-through Christmas lights thing. And I noticed something, which was I didn't love being out, and I don't generally love being out in public places anymore. And a lot of that is because there's all these rules and absurd in my view. And I was feeling sad about that. And I was talking to my husband last night. And I realized that is because so many of these places are still in the 3D. And that my own desire to go out and have fun, for me, it was really actually to relax and to unwind and to be, on my out away from the house and to, pamper myself, some self-care. And that's what I had done in the past. And I still love getting massages, and I probably still will in some ways. But I realized that I'd been falling back into this old pattern or habit or really just way of being of, oh, I'm just going to go out and do this stuff. And when I realized that that is the old 3D system of living that we are moving away from. And from my work, with vibrations, with energy, with, co-creating our lives, I remembered that, and in the Akashic Records, my intuitive work, of course, this comes up, that when we focus on what we want and how we want to feel, then we can bring in this new paradigm. So for me, that would be, well, I want to unwind, and I want to have some alone time, and I want to relax. And so focusing on what that feeling is, then the universe, our guides, our divine, beings of light that are with us, angels especially. I had this amazing experience the other day with an angel. With angelic energy, I should say, we went to a quarry, and my son loves doing rock hunting and looking for gems, and I got lost. My husband went up ahead with my daughter, and I was with my son and his friend, and I didn't know where we were. And I just asked the angel, I said, can you help guide me? And I looked up and I saw this arrow pointing in a certain direction, and I was like, that's the way I need to go. Anyway, they help us. Anytime we ask, they will help us. And sometimes it's literally like as blatant as that. So, but back to what I was saying about creating this new way. I realized that this is what I wanted. I wanted to relax. I wanted to unwind. I wanted to get away. And the way that the universe, and I was talking to my husband about this, was going to bring that to me, it just popped in my mind, was just being outside, going for a walk. And that, and it's like, well, but what if I want to go out to eat? What if I want to go get a massage, but they're going to tell me I have to wear a mask, or I have to, do some whatever ridiculous rule that they're saying I have to follow. And maybe I still do some of those things, although I have my own little ways of operating. But with when I pause and I say, oh, this is what I want to do, is I just want to get away, and being outside in nature is ultimately the way of the new earth anyway. We're probably going to get another dog. Our dog passed over this past July. So I've been taking my time to just grieve her. But we're probably going to get another dog. And I was thinking, well, when I get a dog, that's what I'm going to do to get away, is go for a walk outside. Even if it's cold, it's winter, I can still go for a walk and get outside and get that, alone time that I need. And it's also going to private places, private homes, with communities, with other people. Of course, being alone wouldn't work that way if you're going to somebody's house. But that is the new earth, is that sometimes, we're outside or we're at home and we create our own, little enclave. And then other times we go to do things with friends. And so it's the way of the sharing economy. It's the, people supporting other people, sharing food. Instead of going out to eat together, we go to each other's houses and have potlucks. Instead of my kids taking dance classes or something, we learn from other parents in our homeschool co-op who teach our kids, my daughter at least, dance classes. Instead of Aaron taking a class, any business or public institution, unfortunately, a lot of them are requiring these restrictive guidelines that are not, in my view, at least for my kids, they don't want to abide by them, and I don't want them to abide by them either. Within reason, sometimes we do, but so it's like, well, we can find, who do I know in the community that can teach my son about rocks? I know somebody, and we hung out and he did learn. And who else do we know that could teach kids things it's not part of a formal system? So that's the way I've been operating. And that's, I was connecting intuitively this morning, and that guidance was also coming up of, really focusing on how we want to feel and getting very clear. And maybe it's the opposite of what we don't want. There's something that's happening, and we want to have the opposite of that. For me, I've been at home a lot. I homeschool my kids, and I was thinking, I need to get away. I need to get out of the house, and I need to go somewhere where I can be alone and relax. And that's where I realized that instead of getting frustrated, because the old places, the things I used to do to get away, go out to a coffee shop, go get a massage, those places, in many of those places, are part of the broken 3D system, because they're part of this, these government regulations are forcing these places to do things that I don't feel is that it makes me feel like I'm shrinking, and it makes me feel small. It's not a line for me. Let me just put it that way. And of course, like I was alluding to before, I do have ways where I will play the game, but I don't feel like I'm giving up my sovereignty and my free will. And it is basically in every moment. So one moment I'll just say what feels right in my body, what feels aligned. Maybe it's complying with this rule, although maybe I don't really comply. I kind of comply, but I don't, because that feels like I'm setting an example. I'm setting a tone for others who may be afraid to walk around without a mask, or, hey, I've got my face covered, right? Or this type of thing, I'm covering my face. That type of thing to give people the courage to say, this is silly. I'm healthy. I'm a healthy person. Why are we doing this? Why are we have these stupid little arrows saying you're supposed to go this way and stand here? And I was at a restaurant and they had like stuff all over the place that said like hand sanitizer. There was a sign in the massage place. Are you healthy? Do you have symptoms? It's everywhere. I was at another place that had a picture on the door of dogs with masks on. And in a craft fair, they had literally like baby dolls with baby doll masks. Just completely insane, completely unhealthy. It's getting into people's heads. It's part of the propaganda. And I talked to my kids about it, like, that's ridiculous. You might see that, but that's not healthy. It's not a normal thing to do. And so they understand. But I also think, well, there's a lot of people whose kids are seeing it, and it's becoming part of normal life for many people, which I find heartbreaking. However, I also realize that many people are, their souls are for some reason choosing this, to hold this 3D vibration, to comply, and to learn about freedom by experiencing oppression. So anyway, I think hopefully this has been helpful in some way for any of you listening, to really focus on what it is you want to create. Maybe really thinking like, what is it that I'm not happy with right now? And how can I find the opposite of that? Remembering that it really is important to notice how we're thinking. I just don't want this. I just don't like this. Clear, cancel, delete. Change that thought. Flip it around to what you do want and focus on that. I want to be free. I want to feel connected to people. I want to give people hugs. I want to give my loved one hugs. My kids and I gave my parents hugs, kind of ambushed them from behind a little after Christmas, and I think my dad was secretly happy about it. But then since then we've seen them, and they, my mom doesn't want me to do that. So, respecting other people's desires, but on the other hand, it's important to give hugs. We need hugs. We need human connection, and that's how we're going to thrive. That's going to keep our immune systems healthy. That's going to keep us healthy, is love, human connection, seeing smiling faces, how we feel safe in the world. So anyway, focus on what you want to create, how it will feel, get very clear, describe it, write it down in the positive and the present tense as if it's already happening. This is a tool that I use all the time, envisioning your future self, and I have one on my website that you can download for free. But especially now in the new year, writing this down and describing it. The more you describe it as if it's already happening, I am free. I'm aligned with light. I ask my angels to guide me, and I feel these, I notice the messages and the guidance that comes in. I'm free to go where I choose. My family is thriving. I am aligned with the nature and the energies of the earth. I have a community of friends that we live freely and connect freely. So you notice I'm using some words like free, because that is the opposite of some of the restrictions that some people are experiencing, and that a lot of us are experiencing right now. So this is a whole new way of operating. This is the new earth. This is the new way of being, which is not what we used to be like. It's not, when we've fallen back into old patterns, like, oh, I just wanted to go back to the way I used to be. It wasn't sustainable for the earth. These capitalist systems were not sustainable. And just one thing else I'll say real quick, touching upon political stuff. Something I picked up on the Akashic Records is that there's, certain people in power may have been there to clear out the system, to dismantle the system. Trump, the great dismantler. That's how I picked up on him in the Akashic Records. His job to clear out, to break down systems, to destroy the systems. But he's not necessarily it doesn't feel like, in my view, to lead us forward. Now, the other candidate, I definitely don't think is, or the other presumed president, is definitely not the one to lead us forward. But these new systems, whoever it is who's going to be officially in office, I'm trying to be careful here, it's that is a veil. It's not real. That system, if some of us here are worried about mass mandates, vaccine mandates, some of these things that we may be scared about, myself included, that there is a divine law of free will. This is how the universe works, and we're only subject to things to the extent that we allow ourselves to be subject to them. So when we say, I do not comply, I do not consent, that's saying no, and it's not permitted to happen. Now we're seeing that a lot of people are consenting. They're saying, yes, please, I want this vaccine, or please, great, like, make everybody wear masks. That's great. This thing will just go away if everybody just would comply, right? Not knowing, unfortunately, a lot of them don't realize that there's a much darker, deeper agenda behind this, and some of us do realize that. But when we focus on that we're free, and yes, sometimes we stand up. Often we stand up and say, no, I'm not doing that. I do not consent. That is not aligned with who I am. Maybe we don't go to those places. Maybe we do. Maybe we're going to have to find countries we can go to, or alternative ways of traveling. But I do feel like, and I've seen in the Akashic Records, there's a way for us to get around it. Because there is right now enough people on this planet who will not consent to these forms of medical mandates and restricting our freedoms in this way. So it will not. It's a veil, so that the illusion of the political systems and these great reset, right, is just that. It's a veil. It's not real. You pull back the veil, and we see underneath the veil this beautiful new earth, which is happening now. of community supporting each other, people coming together, living freely. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to hide some of that. But my neighbor just across the street just brought me this beautiful candle for New Year's. I had given her gingerbread around Christmas and just that type of thing. That's one example, but it won't be televised the way the new earth is going to be birthed. It's outside of these systems. It's in private homes. It's in nature. And it's when we ask our angels and guides to help us be this way, to help us trust, to help us live in love versus in fear. When we learn to change our thoughts and to focus on, yes, clearing the negative emotions. I certainly have had to do that recently when I was out just the other day. I was picking up all this negative energy and felt very frustrated and angry at the world, and I cleared it. I let it just come out. Tears, really. I was sad seeing some of these things that I was telling you about or just earlier. And then I was able to release it and step back into light. And so that is super important, to clear out the energy, clear out the emotions. Salt baths, getting outside, just exercising, moving the body, writing, crying, screaming. Some of these are all ways to process and clear emotions. And then coming into, okay, now I need to hold the vibration of how I want to feel, which is focusing on using words that describe in the positive how I want to be, how I want to feel, and making my thoughts be like that. This is not about like only thinking positive all the time, because that's impossible. But as much as we can, if delete the words I can't, I won't, it will never, I hate, certainly that's a very low vibration word. Delete those words and always shift them. This is what I want. I'm seeing that, I'm learning that, I'm opening to this, and I am learning to be this. And that's how we create our future selves, that become our current selves and step into our highest and best vibration of who we are on this new earth. So I hope this has been helpful in some way. Wishing you all a blessed new year, 2021. It's going to be an interesting start, I think. But we're doing it. You, me, if you're listening to this, you're already doing it. You're co-creating your lives. The revolution will not be televised. It is through individual citizens that we take back our power, and that we know that no leader, no guru, none of that stuff is how it will be done. It is each one of us saying, this is how I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to have courage to set the tone. Maybe it might be scary if I'm the only one doing something somewhere, but that empowers somebody else. Say, oh, they're not doing that, so maybe I can do it too. Or they're doing that, so maybe I can do it too. And this is how it happens, one by one. Be the one. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And it is happening. There's so much hope. I really do feel so much hope. There's so many beautiful things happening when we unplug from the news and we unplug from the false illusions that we're still being shown. It's happening, and just choose what you focus on, and focus on the beautiful new earth, which is here right now. Many blessings, much love.